So if I could legally do it, and I could if I wanted to, technically I could issue a share that says you're going to get earnings from non-operating cash of Google as dividends. There is nothing that stops me as a financial engineer from doing so. Then rest of the earnings is going to go to rest of the company shares. So if I'm valuing that non-operating, the operating cash Google, do I have to go through any valuation models? No, because value of the non-operating cash is value of the non-operating cash. Why? If you think in terms of this model, you can, come on, work with me. Okay, you want me to close you and open you back up so that you can cooperate. The generic RE model says the following. Value now is equal to book value plus present value of future residual earnings. But for the cash Google, let's call these tildes. For the cash Google, value of cash Google is exactly equal to book value of cash Google. Why? Because cash Google has only cash, no liabilities whatsoever. What does that imply about the cash Google? It means all future residual earnings are zero because I'm discounting any earnings. I'm applying a penalty of 4%, let's say. That's what you earn on the cash. That's your cost of equity for cash Google. And I'm earning only 4%, so my residual earnings are zero. So the discount rate that you use for cash Google is different from discount rate you use for non-cash Google. Same thing applies to your liabilities. Remember, equity is assets minus liabilities. That's why we look at the net financial obligations is basically non-operating cash minus financial obligations. And we're going to kind of wave our hands a little bit. You need to do a little bit more work to theoretically justify it, but is there any reason for net financial obligations to have a, let's say I have a non-operating Google as a firm. This firm has non-operating cash as assets and all the financial obligations of Google, right? And the other firm has no debt whatsoever, but all the non-operating assets of Google. So if I can value both firms, then all I have to do is add them up, right? But this non-operating Google, there is no reason why it should have any non-zero residual earnings. So that means if we can argue that a business that has non-operating cash as assets and all financial obligations of the firm as liabilities, whatever the discount rate for that firm is, should have zero RE all the time. That means value of that non-operating firm is equal to non-operating cash minus net financial obligations. So that part is done. That means all we have to do is value the firm that has no liabilities and it has all the non-operating assets. One little trick with that, which we're going to handle on Wednesday, the discount rate that you need to use is not cost of equity capital. You're going to have to actually estimate cost of non-operating assets. Normally, cost of assets is weighted average cost of capital, but we can make a little adjustment to that and get the cost of non-operating assets, which we're going to do on Wednesday. Today, I'm just basically setting up the theoretical background because your book doesn't go in detail on any of it. Since I won't see you guys again as a student, I wanted to make sure that you guys actually get exposed to this. Those of you, for example, as Clay, who's going to do MS in finance, I don't know whether or not you're going to be exposed to residual income model in this kind of detail. But if you are, you'll be ready for that. Okay, it's one of the kind of hardest concepts to get your head around. But once you start using it, it's one of the easiest things to use. But you kind of need to clean things up. Theoretically, it's a nice setup. It is a resilient method. It doesn't matter whether I understate or overstate book value. It doesn't matter. Earnings are actually accounting numbers. They're not cash flow. You cannot manipulate cash flow, free cash flow, but you can manipulate earnings. It is somewhat self-correcting, but it is not fully immune from those either because of the terminal value stuff we have to do. Which means if you could, this is what you do in mathematics, let alone finance. You have a complicated problem. If you can divide it into little pieces where you can handle each of those pieces separately, I have no problem valuing cash Google. I have no problem valuing non-operating Google. Then all I have to worry about is valuation of the operating Google. Even there, we're going to make some adjustments. For example, we're going to make a distinction between operating liabilities and regular liabilities. Among the operating liabilities are accounts payable, for example, because we know how they behave. In fact, I may even, no, I would put accounts payable as part of net financial obligations. If this was the finance four-tank class, we would have actually went through all the details of that. I don't think the current people who teach it does, but I did. I had no problem using a textbook by an accountant or an accounting professor. It doesn't matter who you are. As I said, you could be worshiping cream cheese. As long as you write a good textbook with good method, I'm going to use your book. The textbook that we use for basic finance, Business 302, one of the lead authors is my PhD advisor. I absolutely hate the guy, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to use his book because his book is good. My personal feelings doesn't make any difference. The only reason I had to write with him, I had two more people that I could potentially work. One of them was my brother-in-law, my wife's sister's husband. So he was out because of nepotism issues. Even though I was thankful for that, he would have been harder on me than he would have been other PhD students. I'm like that. If I had my son as a PhD student, I would make his life a living hell compared to one of you guys being a PhD student for me. I would actually be very forgiving, but with my own son, no, I wouldn't have been. And the other guy, he didn't want to work with PhD students. I actually wanted to write some complicated stuff on mathematics of derivative securities and stuff. He didn't want to work with PhD students, so I ended up working for that guy, or actually technically for that guy. All right, now, uh, so our model is now value now is equal to book value minus net financial obligations, 0 plus I'm going to call that rho tilde. Rho tilde is cost of non-operating assets, almost weighted average cost of capital. And I'll show you guys. Again, this has nothing to do with this class. I want you to learn this stuff before you get out of this class. The reason I'm using the difference between